Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown!
Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, fires the three, and
He hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard. It is a rainy-looking Thursday, but that's okay. Into each life, a little rain must fall. As making our way through the spring, and it has definitely been that early spring weather here this week. 70-something degrees yesterday, back down to 50s today. Rain, but that's okay. We've got each other, right? Hope everybody's doing good, and we're getting closer to the weekend, closer to the Final Four, whatever else may be going on this weekend. I have not looked at the schedule. I'm not going to lie. Michael jumping on. Dwayne, hello, everybody. Hope your day was good. CJ Gunn, finalist for Mr. Basketball. He averaged 23.5 points, 5.5 rebounds. He shot over 37% from three this season. Congratulations to CJ. He is undoubtedly an all-star for certain. I don't wonder when that comes out. I voted. Got my votes in. But yeah, that he had a tremendous year. I'll be honest with you. As I talked with Kyle Denrick, I was a little surprised that he fell out of favor for winning Mr. Basketball. You could kind of tell just by looking at the tea leaves. But
Michelle points out that Gabe Cupps also named Ohio Mr. Basketball.
yes, I forgot about that. I saw that. Certainly was. Good catch, Michelle. Yeah, he did. So they could have added a couple. That's been the case before for Indiana. Multiple state Mr. Basketballs. Oh, a little nectar of the gods there. A little coffee for the day. Let's see, John Boy. Who else on the schedule today? It's another big day. Matt Taylor back.
Of course, yeah, Matt Taylor going to talk more about the Colts, and Matt Ryan. We'll have Derrick Jackson. He's now with us on Thursdays. He'll be with
DJ.
us later on.
Chris Denari.
And then Chris Denari, of course.
Perfect. Yeah, it was a good thing it's been long enough. We can talk to Matt about his signing. Man, it always happens. It's never been made official. The first time he's on with us, when something happens, and it was like, daggone it, he could never talk about it. You'll be able to talk about this one. Some great stories at thehoosier.com. Brian Walsh is one of those. I mean, you got to be happy for him. I mean, I sent out something yesterday. It's been a long and winding road for him over the last 6 seasons. Man, you talk about someone who probably had no idea what the hell was going to happen to their career a year ago, before it was steadied and now improved, as he has been elevated to a full-time assistant coach, his first full-time assistant coaching's position. So, but some good stories there at thehoosier.com. Make sure you go check those out. CJ Gunn. I don't think he's got a shot at winning. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, this is unrelated, but how about that story I sent you yesterday? Eric Church canceling a concert to watch North Carolina Duke in the Final Four instead. What do you think about that?
Who is he a fan of?
He's a Carolina fan.
I think it's funny. You know what? If you can do it, do it. It's a big game. And
if you were a fan, would you be angry at that, or would you understand, obviously, knowing basketball?
Be pissed. I don't care. Bought my tickets, made my plans.
I think as long as they rescheduled, I've dealt with so many rescheduled concerts that I think I could be forgiving of it if I knew it was getting rescheduled.
Never is the rescheduled date work. Does it ever work out good for me? It never. It's like I can't go to that now, man. I'm like,
that's
gosh.
fair. That's a fair point.
Oh, all the time, every time. It just but tough. That's third world problems, right?
Yeah, or first world problems, I think is what's really called.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly first world problems. Hey, I had that backwards. Thank you for straightening that out. How's everybody else doing? Robert Carter jumping on. Michelle's already pointed out that Gabe Cups was the Ohio Mr. Basketball. She's on as well. Thank you. Michael the Music Man. Let's see. Waiting for, what are we waiting for? Just waiting to see who's leaving. And there's some names we're waiting to hear about. I mean, Indiana currently has one open Scully and potentially two more coming. One more at least, I would think. Maybe not. It'll be interesting. I still don't know why Trace Jackson Davis has not at least announced that he is going to at least explore his options. I truly am. I fully expected that no matter what. I expected him to test the waters no matter what. And how far away are we from the deadline? John, do you know?
I'm taking a look.
Look that up. Yeah, I don't. We're about to come into April, so the draft is in. When is it?
The early entry deadline is April 24th, 2022.
Oh, okay.
Obviously,
so they still has 3 more weeks.
Yep.
And I believe what is it, in June? Or is it in May?
It used to be in June. No, hold on. The last year's took place in July, but I think that may have been a COVID situation.
Yeah, yeah, you can shoot it, dummy.
This year's is June 23rd.
Oh, June 23rd. All right. But so I'm a little surprised that the only thing with him not already just declaring that he's going to look at it is I'm like, wow, they're seriously putting together portal deadlines May 1st. Now see, anyway, I thought that was a different date. That continues to spur my thinking that there is an NIL deal being put together for him to look at before he makes his decision. Just my opinion on that from the Hoosiers for Good. Nothing else. Anything else is peanuts. Anything else is going to be peanuts. And I mean anything else. Anybody trying to have their own consortium or whatever else, it's going to be peanuts compared to what the Hoosiers for good are able to do. You got big time players there. Oh, yeah, I see that. Eric Church canceled a huge concert. Where was the concert?
I believe it was supposed to be in San Antonio. So you know the people of Texas don't care at all about North Carolina Duke in the Final Four.
And they may just boycott Eric Church.
And that's part of in the article says that some fans have claimed that they're going to boycott his concerts in the future, but that could just be, immediate anger. You get over it eventually. He announces a rescheduled date as long as it works out. Now, I totally understand the point that you made earlier. If the rescheduled date doesn't work out in your favor, I would, of course, be angry about that as well.
Yeah. That isn't. Man, got some new folks up on the Andy Moore Honda
Mad Chad
hotline.
Sports Tavern.
Love to see that.
Philip Shanks. That's a name I haven't seen, and I don't think either.
How many times has TJD entered the draft? I think you can only withdraw from the draft twice. Wow, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either, if that's the case. But I don't think Trace has ever declared, has he not?
Well, did he not last year?
No, he thought about it because then Woodson came in and
he was in the portal, I think. Was he in the portal or declared? I can't remember.
Now
yeah, I can't remember.
So I don't know. Brad
I live
says
my life.
He's been boycotting Eric Church for years.
Boy, I wish I could use that line of Chris Rock's about when Jada Pinkett Smith boycotted the Oscars 5 years ago. It's too good not to waste. He said that's like me boycotting Rihanna's panties. Neither one of us was invited either.
It's like saying Indiana's boycotting the Final Four.
Yes. Yeah, they've been boycotting the Final Four for the last 20 years. Hey, Kevin Brockway's I know he's got a new piece out. He told me last night about that team, the 2002 Final Four team. So if you follow him, go check that out. You can on his social media, Kevin Brockway. But yeah, I haven't read that yet, but that went out last night. So that's out. Brad says this is going to be the first year, so that sounds about right. Yeah, I don't think he's actually ever declared. Yeah, I agree with you, Brad. I don't think he ever entered last year. I think he only entered the portal. Right?
Yeah. And another thing too, we discussed this the other day, and I'm still not sure about it. I remember we talked about it with Zach Osterman. But Michael Durr, he's still able to transfer without sitting out, even though he did it last year, because he's a grad transfer, right?
Say that again.
Michael Durr, obviously, he was in the transfer portal from South Florida last year before he came to Indiana. He's back in it this year. Does he still have immediate eligibility?
I think if he's a grad transfer, you can like use the grad transfer thing once.
Yeah.
Because if you're a grad transfer, I don't think it requires you to sit out.
Somebody mentioned the other day that we had on that the rules changed, and I don't remember if they specified what those rules were, but
don't they always?
Yeah.
I mean, they're always, it seems like here of late, they are constantly changing, but Indiana should be in good shape next year, man.
The other day for fun, I actually sat down and with the current roster they have at the moment, with people who have entered the transfer portal and assuming a few other players are going to move on, this is the lineup that I had for next year, starting lineup.
Oh,
Obviously,
my
this is
God. We're
without-
doing starting lineups.
This is without any, obviously, portal pickups. This is what Indiana has at the moment. I have Miller Kopp, Jordan Geronimo, Xavier Johnson, Trey Galloway, and Tamar Bates.
Whoa. Do that again. I'm writing this down.
Go ahead.
Tell me that. Sam, tell me that again.
And I'll tell you who I have on the bench afterward as well, and you can disagree with whatever you want to disagree with. But
Give me that 5 again.
with
So
what we
Miller
have,
Kopp.
yeah, Miller Kopp, Jordan Geronimo, Xavier Johnson, Trey Galloway, and Tamar Bates. On the bench, this leaves Logan Duncombe, Caleb Banks, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Anthony Leal, and CJ Gunn. Now, I could easily see Jalen Hood-Schifino in the starting lineup over a Tamar Bates. But
Well, my first question is, where the hell is your shooter on that 5? There's not a shooter in the bunch.
well, Tamar Bates can develop a shot or needs to develop a shot.
Can.
He's only a
dancer.
freshman this year. You have to understand.
I'm just saying he doesn't have it.
Doesn't mean he can't have it eventually. And that's just my day one starting lineup for now. I definitely think you could also see Jalen Hood-Schifino in the starting lineup, like I said. But I do think if the roster stands as it is, the only one of those 5 that I mentioned that I can see not being in the starting lineup is Tamar Bates, and it would be over Jalen Hood-Schifino.
He should be it over Miller Kopp. Miller Kopp brought nothing.
Yeah, but at that
Golly,
point, you've
you
got
talk
4
about a
guards.
big
Well,
old-
listen, at that point, you have 4 guards on the floor, though, if you take Miller Kopp out.
And replacing with
Either Caleb Banks or Logan Duncombe.
Jalen
point.
Hood-Schifino is going to start on this team, I'm thinking.
And I think he could.
It's not he can't. He could. I think it's going to be awfully difficult to keep him off the floor as a starter. That's the one thing that I still disagree with Mike Woodson this past season. The continued unchanged starting lineup, including Miller Kopp and Parker Stewart. Damn it. I mean, just for craps and giggles. Tamar Bates should have been in. Now, Trey Galloway did get in there a time or two, but was that, I can't remember. Was that because of injury?
Galloway started over. He obviously started in the Northwestern game during the suspensions.
Yeah.
And there was one game where Anthony Leal started because Parker Stewart was in trouble. But that was also when Trey Galloway was hurt.
Yeah, it just, they have, Mike Woodson has to put a more talented team on the floor to begin the games with. And I understand it's not who starts, it's who finishes. But you know what? You can't start in a hole every damn time either. And you just can't put your weakest lineup out there to start games. And to me, it was just a weak lineup. Any lineup that's got Parker Stewart and Miller Kopp in it is weak offensively. And it wasn't great defensively.
If you want, Jim, we can continue this on the other side. Matt Taylor is not going to be able to join us this week, but he will be back with us next week.
Okay. Well, we talked about Matt Ryan yesterday with Bob Kravitz for one.
Mm-hmm.
And that hadn't changed since yesterday. Everybody keeps bringing it up. I'm like, you know what? I think everybody's happy. Everyone's happy. That's what I said when Bob was. I'm like, you know what? Everyone seems happy. So there's not a lot to say. They got to get some wide receivers for him to throw the ball to, baby. That hasn't changed either. That's the next thing up. What do they do in the draft? Do they even have do they even have any draft picks left? They've traded everything away. They've traded it all away. We got to take a quick break. We made it to Thursday. It doesn't look too good outside after yesterday's nice weather. 78 degrees yesterday. It's not going to be that today, though. That's all right. Hey, you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends from My Wow Network. And make sure you get yourself and join the Wow Club. Wow Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. The Wow Club is comprised of all the variety of restaurants that we talk about, Feast Market and Cellar, Southern Stone, the Courtroom, Cabello, and many more coming. But you get points, you get automatic things added to your birthday. They just add money to you for you to spend. Cost you nothing, and it makes us look good. So make sure you go to mynownetwork.com and join the Wow Club. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
All right. So we'll take this next segment to about 9:15 or 9:20-ish. Then you'll have one more segment without a guest. We'll do that one short, and then DJ will be on.
9:15 to what? Oh, until 9:15.
Yeah, we'll go this because we're already kind of a little behind, but take this to about 9:15-ish. We'll do a short one after that, and then DJ will be with us.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, yeah, I didn't mention earlier when I was talking about the lineups. Obviously, that assumes both Trace and Race are gone. I didn't mention that earlier. For those who are on YouTube, obviously, radio can't hear what I just said, but those lineups are assuming they're both gone, which they both might be back. And if that's the case, who would I be moving out of that lineup? Probably Miller Kopp and Jordan Geronimo. But for some reason, Mike Woodson likes to start Miller Kopp. That's the main reason I had him in that lineup.
Yeah, that one. I don't get that. The Masters.
When does the Masters start?
Next week.
That's prime nap during the day content right there. Nothing against golf, but golf on TV, it just screams take a nap.
Only if it's raining outside.
It'd be perfect if it were on today.
Doesn't take much to add to today's, man. Those guys.
I'm glad our power didn't go out. A lot of power went out around us. My wife's parents, their power went out. Ours didn't go out, though, thankfully. We had a lot of wind here. I wish Matt would have told me ahead of time that he wasn't going to be here. He tends to tell me at the last minute every time.
How much time do I have?
We got about 20 seconds. Why? What do you need?
Nothing.
Okay.
Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on this station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends from Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. Especially today. Get it to the door, baby, because it's raining out. 5 Mr. Basketball finalist Connor Esigian from Central Noble, named by the Indy Star. Travis Grayson from state runner-up Chesterton. CJ Gudd, as I mentioned earlier. Lawrence North, the Indiana signee. I still think that he should have had more. He's not going to win it because you can just kind of tell. I can always, you can just tell by the buzz at the end of the season. Part of he went out a little early, but I don't understand. With the season he had, man, who knows? Fletcher Lawyer from Homestead. He won Tuesday's national 3-point contest in New Orleans. How about that? He was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Indiana, but that didn't ever mean crap to me because was it 2 years ago? They gave it to Trey Kaufman as a junior, which made no sense to me. He didn't die. They won the state championship, but he didn't dominate like that. So Braden Smith from Westfield, also a finalist. So tough company, man. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, CJ Gunn, those top 3 alone. Travis Grayson and Connor Esigian. But those top 3, there's no way that I can't imagine that they're not the top 3. CJ Gunn and Lawyer and Braden Smith. It's going to be interesting to see. I voted for one of those 3 as Mr. Basketball. Purdue, two of those recruits are going to Purdue. I mean, Purdue is going to have like 80% of their roster is from Indiana. It's like at no time I've ever seen. Which is cool. But at the end of the day, it don't matter if you don't win. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you flame out of the tournament again. The Pacers are continuing to slide, but although they almost had a historic comeback against the Nuggets, so they're still trying. They are still trying. Chris Denari will be along with us later on. DJ's on today. And he's bringing a guest next week. James, there's another new name. Thanks a lot, James. New assistant coach Brad Walsh said that Miller Kopp is the best 3-point shooter on the team, and it's a coach's job to get him better in situations to make shots. Okay. I don't doubt that. That's why he was brought in. And Brian said during his press conference or at some point that, it's mental. It's between their ears. It was kind of like how the free throw shooting had been, which I get it, but why I don't understand why Indiana has had such problems with guys that can shoot but can't hit shots in games. Well, I don't care how good you can shoot in practice. If you can't do it in a game, well, you know what? A lot of people can do it in practice. Practice? We talking about practice? Yeah, Michelle says that she hears Miller doesn't miss a practice. If he was a freshman, that would be understandable. He's not. He's like a 14th year senior. There should be no nerves. I mean, playing at Indiana is different. He's not at Northwestern. I promise you, the stress is different. There's 17,000 people out there and not 7,000. It makes a difference. But whatever it is, fix it. Or get somebody that can hit. I don't care. Someone like CJ Gunn, I'm hoping that his shooting can translate to the collegiate game. I think that it will, because the type of player he is. He's got that kind of moxie, that he's a fourth quarter kind of guy. Man, guys that step up like that, they're looking to step up. That's not going to just go away. Now, that could be taken away by a coach, but they need that. Xavier tried to do that a lot, and he got so much smarter with his play. But Indiana simply just did not have the ammunition last year. I don't care what anybody says. Miller Kopp was just a void. There's just nothing. You got nothing production-wise from there, from Parker Stewart. Empty spots. Empty spots. You got production from Xavier, from Trace Jackson Davis, and very consistently from Race Thompson. But that was good enough to make them slightly better than average. That's not good enough. Slightly better than average. But to be slightly better than average, you've got to have wings that are scoring, other options that are making life difficult for the defensive end for those teams. Let's see. Got some questions coming in. Sean says he keeps reading Race or Geronimo, not both. He loves Race, loves his contribution to the program, but Geronimo is the future. I agree with that. If I had to pick between the two. Brad says Matt Ryan utilizes his tight ends frequently. Need a stud or two there as well. Yeah, absolutely. You need whatever weapons they can add if you're going to use him to his full potential. Sean says, are portal signings also negotiations for minutes on the floor and potential starts? Great question. We know those conversations happen in recruiting high school kids. I expect the same with the portal. Yeah. I mean, because in certain situations, you're going to have coaches that are just going and telling players, hey, man, we're hurting in your spot. Here's an open place. If I was recruiting a wing, I'd say, man, we need a scoring wing. You can step right in and start from day one. There are no starting spots are given already, with the exception of if Trace Jackson Davis comes back and Xavier Johnson. There's no way I see him being rooted out of the starting lineup. But we'll see what transpires with the portal. Who comes in? They have to replace. You got to replace Durr unless Duncombe is able to come along, and I just don't know that I saw enough last year to think that he's going to be able to make that leap this year. But hey, who knows? I'm not in practice. We didn't see much of him. I wondered why. I still wonder why. For his development, why he didn't see more minutes. There were plenty of times where they could have gotten more minutes. I didn't understand saving him. He should have played more. He should have played more just for the development, because he's a skilled big man. He's not daggone it. What's the guy's name from Gonzaga? I already forgot.
Chet Holmgren or Drew?
Yeah. Chet Holmgren, the 7-foot phenom that can bring the ball up the daggone floor and shoot from three.
You think part of the issue is that once Big Ten play came around, Trace was having so many issues getting into foul trouble that he needed somebody like Michael Durr to come in and kind of clean up the issues and not rely on somebody like Logan Duncombe in those situations.
Trace didn't get into foul trouble much. I mean, the Purdue game stands out, but they were able to go. That changed the damn game so much for Purdue's game plan. It screwed Purdue up. I don't know that Indiana wins that game if Trace Jackson Davis is sitting on the bench in foul trouble.
Yeah,
because that way they don't have to deviate. Zach Edey and Travion Williams. That's why Purdue still gets upset by teams like the Peacocks. They didn't have anybody really to contend with those guys, but they beat them differently. Indiana beat them without Trace Jackson Davis because they were game planning on Trace Jackson Davis. But I didn't answer Sean's question. I don't know that Mike Woodson is not going to tell anybody you've got minutes. You've got X number of minutes. He's not going to do that. He'll say you have the opportunity to start. And like I said, for the wing position, there's a definite need, man. So you can be honest in saying, hey, starting is absolutely not off the table. As a matter of fact, it's on the table if you can get it done. But what will Indiana's offense look like next year? Like I said, I see Jalen Hood-Schifino on the floor to start, and that's with Xavier Johnson. So you kind of got a 2-point guard, a 3-guard attack, and that's what I think is going to happen. You're going to see more of the 4 out 1 in that they were not able to really do effectively last year because it was more like 2 out and 1 in. But we'll see. So I hope I answered your question, Sean. James Rush says new assistant Brian Walsh says Miller Kopp is the best. Oh, we already hit that one up there, but thanks for your comment, James. Appreciate you. Yep, he did miss a lot of open shots. Tick Vital says there's cheating going on in the portal. Like, how the hell do you cheat in the portal?
I guess if you're preemptively talking with coaches before you're in the portal, that would be cheating.
Who cares?
That's the only way it can make sense. But
how's that cheating? Because you know that you have other options. If you like an option 1 before anything else comes in, I love you, Dick Vitale, but stop. You got to stop. Of course, there's cheating going on. It's just legal now. But people, I was thinking about this last night. People just have to quit. It's not 1985. It's not 1995. It's not 2005. It's 2022, baby. And the rules are different. The game is different. Everything is different. It is what it is. You can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up first on wanting it to be like it was. Ain't never going to be again. That ship sailed. It gone. As our good friend Bob Kravitz says, he gone. Like he said about Carson Wentz before he was traded. He gone. And
are the Colts, before we go to break, are the Colts becoming, I thought about this yesterday, and maybe it was a premature assumption, but are the Colts becoming a retirement ground for old quarterbacks to just finish up their career? Not that Carson Wentz was old, but Matt Ryan kind of fits that bill.
No, but it's they've gotten themselves into a situation because what they had to give up in getting Carson Wentz, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
That's where you get in trouble, is when you give up a lot to get something that doesn't work out. And then you have to fix that, which is what they've had to do. So that's why they're in kind of a funky situation. But
Break.
we're going to take a break. The boss says, hey, we got plenty more coming up. Chris Denari is going to join us. DJ is coming along as well. Looking forward to it. Looking forward mostly to talking with you guys some more. The comments are great already. Keep them coming. We'll get to those coming up with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. Back right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
An Evansville tradition.
All right, so we'll have about 9 or 10 minutes here on the next segment before DJ. We'll break again.
Nobody cares. Nobody knows the troubles I've seen. I need another cup of coffee.
Yeah, Tebow, you meant Shaden Sharp, not Sky Clark. Shaden Sharp is the guy who can go into the draft. Sky Clark is a high school commit like Ross and Phillip were talking about.
Sky Clark's from Montberry.
He's got Louisville in his top 6 now.
Man, there ain't no way that happens.
Let me look and see if I can find who he's got his full top 6. I saw it the other day. A lot of people, but I'd say the main reason for that, though, is because Kenny Payne used to be a UK assistant, and now obviously he's the U of L head coach. So let's see who his top 6 is real quick. He's got Louisville, Illinois, Maryland, Tennessee, USC, and Washington in his top 6. Pretty diverse group of schools, honestly. 2 Big Ten, 1 SEC, 1 ACC, and 2 Pac-12. I'm curious who the favorite is in that. I would guess Louisville, but who knows? I'm sure that would tip some UK fans off to have a recruit. Because their head coach used to be a UK assistant, and I'm sure probably had some sort of hand in his recruiting at some point.
While he was being recruited.
I mean, he could have been, depending on how long he had him on their radar.
No.
I don't know how long it's been since Kenny Payne was on the UK staff, but it hasn't been too long. And how tipped off would UK fans be if he committed to U of L? That would really... You don't see many commits go from U of L to UK or vice versa. Like flip from one to the other is what I'm referring to.
I cannot. Louisville would have to come up with some kind of hell of an NIL deal to land him. I'm not kidding.
No, I mean, you're probably right.
AA problems coming, man.
Yeah, that's true. Well, if he's a one-year player, he probably doesn't care. He's probably a one and done. Here we go.
Honda certified pre-owned Accord, Civics, CRVs, HRVs, and pilots. See dealer for financing deals. Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Brought to you by our good friends, BB's Market, Butchers and Bakers. Part of the WOW Network. Spectacular meats there, man. You can order that online. I'm telling you, that's another reason why to get the WOW Club. Join the WoW Club. So go into your app store, join that first, the WoW Club. And you can order your meats directly from BB's. You can grill out. If you're not coming to football games, you can have your own tailgates with some great meats. Brad says cheating is basically legal now. Yeah, I mean, it's no longer cheating. James says he hopes that Rob Finney doesn't transfer to Purdue. Does it really matter? I mean, he's not going to hurt Indiana, really. Let's see. Sean says, tells me the Miller isn't as comfortable shooting in front of 16,000 people. Yeah, right. As opposed to 6. Forrest does not think that Rob goes to Purdue. They have a ton of, I don't either. But you know what someone brought up? Was this yesterday that it was mentioned about how about Rob Finney going to Ball State? Keep him close to home. You know, he'd start. So there's that. Five Lefts doesn't think that Cop moves when he's in practice shooting. Yep, the shooters were duds. James Rush says that Sean McNeil from West Virginia in the transfer portal mentioned as a possible shooter. Well, Brad says, Crean may have told Yogi he'd start from day one, and that was a different situation though, because he was right. And he knew that was going to happen. Now, sometimes you do know. If your roster is that bad, where you're basically begging, I mean, they needed Yogi Ferrell horribly. But also, Yogi Ferrell had coming off of back-to-back state championships at that time with Park Tudor. He was top point guard. I mean, that sometimes you do know guys are going to start. Now,
Yogi one of the only, I don't know how many, I know he's the all-time leader in minutes, right, for Indiana. Is he the only player to start every game of his career and play all 4 years?
Very possibly.
That's a heck of a stat right there.
It is, and it has somewhat to do with timing.
Mm-hmm.
Because Indiana was really down when he got here.
Yep. Imagine if the transfer portal had existed prior to, during that time. Yogi Ferrell would have never, had the early minutes that he got, because he would be able to fix that problem with somebody, an upperclassman in the transfer portal.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It definitely would have changed the game. So
just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. So there's that. I'm trying to read more comments. Yes. Tim asking, does Woody make it to Huber's this year? Great question, because I asked my old high school athletics director, Les Wright, who is, you know what? I need to get Brian Braz on. He is with the varsity club, but I think that they are going to have that this year. I know that they're going to definitely try. And I expect that deal to return to Huber's this year. I do. I asked someone about, it was Les that I asked back during the basketball season. And I think he is fully expecting that to take place. That is usually, I think, August is when that happens. That train rolls through there with all it used to be, Bob Knight's how it started. Now they take a lot of the coaches. Saw Jeff Mercer yesterday, by the way. Went over there. They had a media availability, and I hadn't got to talk to Jeff for a while. We talked afterwards for a while, man. It was great seeing him, and hope that they're able to get their season ongoing. And I was just thinking how tough it is as a coach now. I asked him, I go, so how many guys do you have on the roster? 40. Man, look how hard it is dealing with a basketball roster right now. Baseball has 40 guys on it. And I know football has substantially more than that, but baseball is different because a higher percentage of your roster is usually in play than, say, football. But man, with the portal and all that, I can't. I told him, I said, I would not want to be a coach today. The headaches of a college coach were bad enough before. So Michael asks, at this time, do we know who will be definitely coming back to play basketball for the Hoosiers? No, you do not. Michael, thank you for the question. You do not know if Trace Jackson Davis is coming back. You do not know if Race Thompson is coming back. Other than him, I think it's those are the only two additional that I would see leaving. Could see leaving. Anybody can, but and I don't know why. Race Thompson, what is he waiting on? If he had made his decision, he went through, you can come on, John. He went through Senior Day festivities. If he had made his mind up, what are you waiting on?
I think honestly, it's going to be. I think he's waiting on Trace. I think whatever Trace is going to do, he's going to do. I'm not saying he's going to go to the NBA draft necessarily, but if Trace decides he's going, I think Race is going somewhere. Whether it's the transfer portal, whether it's overseas. I mean, they're one of the. Obviously, we use the term buddy ball, but they're one of the only two. What do you mean?
Why is one relevant to the other?
I think Woodson, and we've talked about this too, obviously, will go away from utilizing Race the way that he does if Trace isn't there, and maybe Race wouldn't enjoy that. That's just guessing, obviously. That's not making any sort of claim, but
if you want to get a shot,
dynamic. Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, if you want to see Jalen Hood-Schifino play today, you can at 2:00 Eastern Time, ESPNU. You can watch him as that tournament going on down in Fort Myers, I believe. I should have planned that better. I should have gone down there for that. You know, I told somebody I could fly. Did I say this yesterday? I could fly to to Florida and back once a month for a year for what it costs to go to Portland.
That's ridiculous.
Oh, tell me. Hey, we got lots more coming up, man. Lots of comments still to get to. And Derrick Jackson joining us. Keep her tight. We're going to be right back. Brought to you by our good friends at BB's Market. Make sure you join the WOW Club and check out BB's Market from mywownetwork.com. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
What's up, DJ?
Hey, what I'm trying to figure out, Jim, is why you aren't here in Fort Myers, Florida. This is where you should be, man.
Man, it's dumb. I'll tell you why, because it took me a week to recover from coming back from Portland, and my brain wasn't working. But I'm like, damn it, I should have been down there for this tournament.
Man, you should have been down here, man. Just like you said, you were making the comment that you can fly to Florida for every month for a year. Spirit Airlines, man. Listen, when I came out there, it was Spirit Airlines.
I am not lying either. I am not lying.
Listen, I know you're not. Listen, man, you can go to the Spirit Airlines counter and you can get a round trip ticket for about $45.
Yep. Now I will say the Spirit has been voted the worst airlines in the last couple of years. But here's the thing. You just got to be smart. You just got to be smart.
I've never had any problems with them.
You just got to, if you take a like a backpack personal item, you're
Right,
golden.
right.
You're
good.
golden.
You go. Yep.
Don't check a bag. Don't take a
No,
bag
sir.
that's too big.
No, sir.
You'll be golden, baby.
No, sir, man. No, sir, man. I tell you, man, it's good to last couple of weeks, man, just had some things going on, and my days with my appointments and stuff. Now, man, Thursdays, I'm good. I'm looking forward, man, to bringing I emailed you about a real special guest. We're gonna talk about it right now, but listen, man, great kid. Him and his head coach, not Utah State head coach, but the head coach I worked for here in Fort Myers in high school. Great kid, man. Great kid.
Now, is he already gone? Is he done with college?
Yeah. He's in the draft, man. He is.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, he's Utah State's all-time leading receiver in yardage and reception. Man, he broke mega records out there.
Those highlights, he looked good, and those
Yeah,
guys like
man.
to throw the ball. In that Utah State, is that Bobby Petrino?
No. This is these the Aggies. I forgot what the head coach name. I think they went through a head coaching change.
I'll look who
about
it
a
is.
year and a half ago. So yeah, I forgot who the head coach was. But yeah, man, great kid.
Aggies.
Who did Indiana play last year? Didn't they play somebody from Utah? No,
Blake Anderson.
No.
Blake Anderson.
Yeah,
He's
Blake
Idaho.
Anderson wasn't. Yeah, yep.
Petrino.
Yeah,
was
man.
His first season. I'm trying to see who they had
Hey.
before that.
Hey man, when we get back live, man, we've got to talk about this bracket, man. Listen, man, don't tell me who you got. Listen, the Final Four this weekend is going to be fabulous, man.
I can tell you exactly who I got.
Yeah,
Here
well,
we go.
you know what?
We'll keep it a secret. 30 seconds.
Yeah, we'll keep it a secret right now because
Sizemore from Remax.
Oh, go ahead, DJ. You got a second.
I can tell
See
you who
that?
I got. Let me see.
Right there. That's how many I got left in the Final Four right there, if you could read that big donut.
Get out of here, man. Get out of here.
All right, here we go.
Or 317-298-0961. Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat here on this Thursday. Our man DJ in the house, brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant, Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington. Southern food with a Southern charm, comfort food with a Southern charm. How are you doing, man?
Man, I'm great, man. I tell you what, I'm super excited about the things that I've been seeing in the sports world. It's just all kind of stuff been going on, but this Final Four, man, I tell you, man, it's I'm not going to tell you it's what I expected, but there's someone there that I did expect to be there, and I think they're going to reign supreme this weekend in the Final Four, man. It's put it like this: the Natty goes through North Carolina. All roads to the national championship go through North Carolina, so you can go ahead and surmise from there.
Well, I mean, I think I think that they beat Duke, but Duke's on this magical mystery tour right now with Krzyzewski.
Whoa. You said you think North Carolina's going to beat Duke?
Yeah, I think North Carolina beats Duke to get to the championship game.
So wait a minute, Villanova and Kansas. So you really think Duke? You think North Carolina's going to play Villanova or Kansas, right? That's what you're thinking right now.
No, I think that North Carolina's going to play Kansas. Villanova got hurt. Well, only because Villanova lost that guard. Achilles injury. I mean, golly, you talk about that's terrible. Ruptured his Achilles last weekend. So if they lose a valuable player going into the Final Four, which that's tough, man.
You're right.
When you go up against a healthy Kansas. So, but I just think it's going to be Kansas and North Carolina, just because I've got to think that North Carolina's slight experience has got to win out, because these freshmen have been they've been killing it for Duke.
I think Duke and Kansas. That's my pick. Just to let you know, I think it's Duke and Kansas. I think this is if put it like this, if this is Mike K's last year, the calls are going to go in his favor. I'm telling you right now. So this is why I think Duke's going to have an advantage, because everyone's thinking that this is Mike Krzyzewski's last year. So all contested calls, he will win.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that I don't think Duke can win. I mean, anybody can win.
I mean, Villanova can still beat Kansas, even though that they're a man down. Anything happens in this stuff. I mean, that's why these great stories. Somebody comes in all of a sudden, this name you didn't expect it. He had 22 points, steps off the bench, whatever. Big moments, man, are made for big people.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to it. The odd thing to me, Duke, North Carolina never played each other in the tournament, man.
No.
It's just crazy. I think it's like 31 or 32 times they've been in the tournament at the same time, and they've never played. That's a testament to both of them being ranked high enough, I guess, to be kept out. But that's still weird when you're both in it that many times to not play. Hell, Indiana's met Kentucky twice, in the last, I don't know, 10 years maybe, and they missed it 6 years. So that's a pretty high odd there.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys, switching over to, I guess, the Indiana men's basketball, man. I was surprised to see a lot of guys in the transfer portal. Durr, I think, is in the transfer portal. Is it Felice is in the transfer portal? We still don't yet know what TJD is going to do this year. I think we had one guy, I forgot his name. He's coming back. He did say that he's probably coming back for another year. But Trace Jackson, I don't think he's coming back. What do you think, Jim?
I keep getting told I'm wrong, but I think he comes back because only because there's a new NIL, I keep calling it consortium for whatever lack of a better word, but what is basically Indiana's official NIL arm.
Mm-hmm.
They are putting together packages, and I would not be surprised if they're not trying to, one of the first things they're trying to do is maybe try to keep him for a year, and use that to do that. But that's me kind of spitballing with that situation. I don't have direct knowledge that and they're not going to say that. But we will find out. I promise if he stays, that is the case. Because it's that or go and try to play in Europe. I just don't see him. I don't see him making the NBA right now. But that doesn't mean he can't be drafted or a team won't take a chance on him because he's obviously a talented player. He's just got a few holes in his game. But the NBA fixes stuff. First thing they did was tape a ping pong paddle to Romeo Langford's hand to get him to shoot the ball better. So they fix stuff. They work on stuff. And that's all you have to do is when you're in the NBA is play basketball. There's no school. There's no whatever else. Basketball is your school. So I'm not saying that it's not possible for him. I just, from looking at the draft boards, the path is not clear, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. I think he has a lot of development, and I'm surprised Andy Moore right there in Bloomington, man, hasn't given him an NIL deal and sponsored him with a car, because a lot of these kids nowadays, man, I tell you, I think Bryce Young, man, they say he's got 2 or 3 Mercedes down there in Alabama, man. And Nick Saban owns 3 of the dealerships, so.
Man,
Yeah,
how
so-
convenient is that?
It's very convenient, man. I mean, listen, you know what? And the reason why I told you guys at the beginning, and I'm gonna say this one more time, the reason why I don't agree with the NIL deal
That
too much,
brings up an incredible point there, though.
Yeah.
Coaches owning businesses that are
Mhm.
NIL-ing athletes.
That's right. That's right. Listen, man, if you got an NIL deal like Bryce Young, the school should rescind it. When I say rescind the scholarship, in other words, make him pay for his education. I mean, if these guys get NIL deals like that, the school shouldn't be liable for their education. They got that much money, man. They should pay for their own education, or the NIL sponsoring entity should fund their education, man. Come on, man. I mean, gee whiz, man, these guys are making tons of money.
I'm sure the states will work, or the government will work to keep it this way. But with the the new windfall potential for these guys, which they do have to pay taxes on.
Yeah.
What keeps them from having to pay taxes on a scholarship once they turn 18?
That is what's considered? It's considered compensation. It's not considered income. It's considered, I looked this up before, and I'm fairly certain that a scholarship is considered compensation for your services. So, it's just in the form of an education. You come here, you sign here, you play for 4 years, we're going to compensate you by getting your education. You don't pay tax on
it. Because they do have to pay taxes on NIL stuff. Don't
that's income. Yeah, that's income, brother. They got to do that, man. Women's basketball, man. Phenomenal season, heartbreaking end, but phenomenal season. And I think the head coach there is on the right track, and I think she will be right back next year.
Yeah, you got Grace Berger and Mackenzie Holmes coming back.
Yeah.
They lose some great players off of that team with Alexa Gulbe and Hillary, Nicole Hillary Cardano, and of course Ali Patberg. But I bet you Ali Patberg is here as a GA next year. I promise you. I would not be surprised.
You really think so?
Yes. The graduate assistant, not playing graduate assistant, but because she's used her 7 years, man. But yeah, why not? Well, because she was, I think, the most successful NIL recipient on the women's side for certain.
She was. Grace Bergen needs to be compensated very well too. I'm telling you right now.
She's the best baller they've ever had. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Ross is asking, does anyone know what the loud boom heard around Bloomington was yesterday? Everyone talking about it, but nobody seems to know. Funny you should say that. I didn't hear it, but it was brought up as a topic of conversation yesterday where I was. But a week ago, I heard a boom that
really
shook, that was loud enough that I was inside and it shook. And I'm like, what the hell was that? I mean, it was like a plane hitting the speed of sound. And that sonic boom, it was enough that it was like, it was one that you notice. And I never heard anything about that. And then now I didn't hear this one, but I've been hearing everybody talk about it. So no. And I'm like, Bloomington's not close enough to any artillery places that I'm aware of.
Right. Because there's no
anything like that.
Yeah. There's no military base anywhere near Bloomington. I don't. I mean, not that I remember. So I couldn't tell you what it was, man. Couldn't tell you. Not at all.
Let's see. There's Tim McFalls with the new. Haven't seen you on here, man. Appreciate the comment. He says Duke will definitely get the calls. You know what?
Yep.
Very good chance of that. As you know, these officials, they know. There's so much being made of this being Krzyzewski's last run. Brad hopes that UNC spoils K's party. Phil says in conference opponents rarely play each other in the tournament. Yeah. They definitely try to keep those separate. And that's actually a good point. But like I said, North Carolina and Duke are usually both good. So that was enough to keep them out or away from each other.
Right.
Five Labs thinks that Trace is going to stay to help Woody transition for him. He's waiting to see if Coach can find an adequate replacement for him. Says, I'm right about the NIL deal. I thank you, sir. I think that is absolutely the case, though. I had the president on when that first came out, but that has a board of directors, first of all, and it's Calbert Cheney's on it, the CEO for Cook Medical's on it. So you have a consortium of big time business people,
right?
And but more importantly, it also gives Indiana control, because outside of that, they've got no control over NIL deals, period.
No, they don't.
And it's not that they have control over it. I promise you, these two entities are working lock, stock, and barrel together.
Right. They are. You're right.
So that's the difference. But you know what? Where Indiana is not going to benefit in football for NIL. And I think NIL could really, really, really hurt Indiana football in the conference because they're not, especially after last year, had they been able to capitalize on last year, and last year was not the disappointment that it was, I see a potential for that to change. But man, with the unbelievable disappointment of last season, that just, boy, you got people out of their comfort zone of being afraid to trust Indiana football, and they feel let down. And also, there's just not, let's be honest, the Indiana fandom is about basketball. And that's where everybody, they want to see Indiana come back to a very good basketball program before they do anything. But I'm afraid that I wonder, Indiana's been able to compete with Michigan, with these teams, Penn State, here of late, simply on the field. There is no way that can continue once Michigan, who was has been below Ohio State, at a competitive for a few years. I know they beat them last year, but they have been, let's be honest, they've been below Ohio State for a few years competitively.
Right.
But Michigan's the place that has that kind of money and people that they can bring in NIL money in, Derrick, and they can be a player on that. Penn State, a player on that. Michigan State, probably a player on that. And I think that Indiana's they're going to get hurt. That in that regard.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think these kids are now structuring. Hey, listen, if I come to Indiana, or if I come to Michigan, or come to Alabama, listen, I need an NIL deal, and I need it for it to be this amount. If not, I'm going somewhere else. So I think these kids are not even structuring their own deals from the very onset of the recruiting process.
Indiana probably having a new quarterback next year. We got a new offense to watch with a new offensive coordinator and all that. So we'll see how it turns out. Anything else that you wanted to hit on?
No, man. Hey, listen, man. I really appreciate, man, for being back, man. It's been a rough couple of weeks, but hey, I'm back. Hey, man, I'm just liking the excitement about football, basketball. I'm gonna be a Hoosier through and through. I'm still an IU football alum, and I'm still the number one supporter of our program, man. So, the fishing is going great. I'm gonna give you an update. This weekend here is freshwater free fishing. In other words, we're gonna have a license weekend. I got one this weekend here. A lot of bass fishing going on, man. So I'm gonna do some bass fishing this weekend.
So they open up the whole state for a weekend.
Yeah, this week. I believe it's. I think it's more than just Florida. I think it's other states too, but I think in Florida specifically, I know this weekend is fishing license free weekend. So
that's pretty cool.
It is cool, man. Very cool.
That's a good way to try to get others involved in it.
Yep. I tell you, man, I got my fishing gear ready, man. I'm raring to go.
Man, if you didn't go fishing as a kid, you missed out. That's all I can tell you.
You missed out on a lot, brother. You missed out on a whole heck of a lot.
Yep. Derrick Jackson, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you, brother. We'll see you next week, and I'll have a guest with me next week, brother.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Derrick Jackson joining us, brought to you by our good friends Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you need Cheryl Sizemore and her 2 decades of experience. Reach out to her, Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com. Back with Chris Denari, the Pacers, right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington.
Hello, Chris Denari.
What's up?
I'm alive, man. I'm alive.
Yeah, I mean, it was, how was the weather down in Bloomington? Was it 70 yesterday and now it's 40?
It was 78.
Yeah.
And I went out in a t-shirt and shorts. just because I'm like, why? And then last night, of course, I'm like, you idiot, you knew better than this because it was pouring down rain when I went to leave and to go home. It wasn't cold, but it was the rain. It was just pouring down rain.
Yeah, when I was driving home from the game last night, right before I got to my house, it just started pouring.
Let's see. 77 yesterday. Today's high of 45. That's a freaking 30-degree drop, man. 32 degrees.
Well, it was weird that, it was 45, 45, 39, 45, 75, 45. I mean, it's just weird how one day, it can do that. That's just one day. Usually you get a cold spell for a few days and then a warm spell, but not usually one day. That was
damn it, I'm looking all the way through next Saturday, and it's 50s. There's 165 degree on Wednesday, of course, 65, but rain, and then 50s, 49, 50. Oh my God, dang it.
Yeah, it's not going to be very nice.
That's deep into April, man.
Yeah, that's what's bizarre. You're right.
Oh, here we go. Sunday the 10th, 60. Monday, 66. Tuesday the 12th, 68. Then Wednesday's the magic day, Chris. It's just Wednesday. Every Wednesday, two Wednesdays from now, we're back to 71. So we got about 2 more weeks of crap, it looks like.
Yeah. I didn't realize that how many players across the country are in the transfer portal.
Yeah, over 1,000 as of yesterday.
I just saw where that the kid from Lithuania for Butler, who was a pretty good player, freshman, he's in the transfer portal.
Are you in the portal?
We're always in the portal, right? Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Box from Brinker's Jewelers, where every one of our diamonds are hand-selected by an owner of the company. That means every single diamond has to meet a Brinker standard on beauty and value. So if you're planning on getting engaged, your engagement ring needs to come in that little green box from Brinker's Jewelers, voted the best jewelry store 9 years in a row by Evansville Living Magazine and the Readers, located at the corner of Green River Road and the Lloyd Expressway, or online at brinkersjewelers.com.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Chris Denari from the Indiana Pacers joins us now. We were just lamenting the weather, and it's not getting better, but yesterday was, warm, nice warm day. Next Wednesday is going to be okay. And then 2 Wednesdays from now, we get back to the warm weather. Wednesday seems to be the special day, but, it's basketball season. It doesn't really matter, Chris, because they're still playing inside.
Yeah, well, you know what was interesting is last Saturday was the boys' state finals at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and it snowed. Usually snow is reserved in March for sectional week, but we got a blustery of snow on Friday. So that was interesting. But it's been an interesting week for me, Jim, from the standpoint, if you look at the Pacers games, it's been a rough stretch against some good teams. Last night, the Pacers were down 50-19. They were down 31 points early in the second quarter and came back and led in the third and fourth quarter against Denver and then fell short by 7. But on Saturday night, lost by 40 in Toronto in a game that was delayed over an hour because of an electrical fire in the roof of the Scotiabank Arena. So
is that? Yes, I forgot. It was a Pacers game. I saw that.
Yeah,
I forgot. When I saw that, I'm like going, wait, what?
We were on the air the whole time. Didn't take a break. We had some features to run, but what had happened is there was a speaker up in
he
the
caught fire, didn't it?
It caught fire. And it's funny. I spent some time with Calbert Cheney the other day after practice, and we were talking about it because we weren't there. We were in the studio. And I said, Calbert, what was it like? He said, well, it was really odd because you could smell like smoke, but the game kept going on. It was a smoky smell. And they started evacuating people behind one of the baskets. And he goes, at first we thought maybe there was a fight or an incident in the stands, and they were, and then all of a sudden they just deemed that they were going to need to evacuate the building, and they sent both teams to the locker room. And then when the teams ended up coming back about an hour and 5 minutes later, they finished the game, but with no fans. So it was eerily similar to playing games, during COVID when you didn't have fans. So yeah, just a real interesting week. It's been a tough stretch for the Pacers. They're either having 8 or 9 guys available. They only had 9 last night because of all the injuries they have. And I'll tell you what, Jim, I give it to that group because they played their butts off last night, and the crowd responded. We're sitting there at 50-19. You're thinking, my gosh, what's going to happen here? And they took the lead at, I think, 89-88 in the third quarter. They went on an unbelievable run. They scored 38 points in each of the second and third quarters and made it a heck of a game and had a chance to win. So just an interesting week of Pacers basketball on and off the floor.
Yeah, and that loss makes it all the more tougher because is that the 5th loss in a row?
Yeah, 5 losses in a row.
Is that the most they've lost in a row this season?
No, we lost 7 in a row earlier in the year. But all good teams that you're playing. Memphis has one of the best records in the league. Toronto's a playoff team. Denver's a playoff team. So they've hit a stretch, with an undermanned roster. But I'll tell you what, it was really cool to watch those guys come back last night and see the energy that was in the building. And that's what I've said. It's a tip of the cap to the Pacers fans this year because it has been a tough year. It's been hard to watch. You've got a team that's 25-52. You still had about 14,000 in the building last night, and they were making a lot of noise and really spurred the team on. So, we've got to get through the remainder of the year, 5 games left in the regular season. And then the focus will be on the offseason, looking ahead to the draft lottery in May to see where the Pacers will pick in the first round, the NBA draft in June, and then free agency and all those kinds of things. So there's going to be plenty on the table once the regular season is over.
Now Indiana has to, or the Pacers have to look forward to playing a Celtics team that they got the better of the last time they played. But they have to go to Boston this time to do it, and Boston's not going to forget that, number one. And Boston, they're sitting up in the number 4 spot, so they don't want to – they're pretty comfortable in the 4th spot, but Chicago's only 2 games back, so they want to win.
Yeah, and they have a chance. Just the other day they were in first. I mean, this is the closest it's been at the top of the Eastern Conference in some time, between 1 through 4. And so I think one of the best wins of the year was that Boston win right after the All-Star break, where the Pacers played really, really well. Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield. And that's one of the things that the Pacers have really tried to focus on with Tyrese. I think he's going to be an outstanding point guard in this league. He's only in his 2nd year, and they want him to be more aggressive, looking for his own shot. He is a pass-first point guard. He has great court vision. But especially right now, with as undermanned as they are, they need him to score. And he did that the other night in the Atlanta game where he had 25 points. I thought he did a good job last night. But, it'll be an interesting matchup tomorrow night. Boston lost Robert Williams III. He's out with a torn meniscus. He's out for 4 to 6 weeks. He's their big center in the middle. So that really is going to hurt Boston as they begin the playoffs in a couple of weeks.
So now Indiana's got to still finish their season. Of course, everyone's keeping an eye on the standings because of the draft and all that. And we know that they're not tanking, even though that they lost 5 games in a row, but it's not because of that. But how mentally the last portion of the season has got to be just difficult for the players, knowing that losing is actually better, but your competitive spirit and nature and team and fan, well, the fans don't want you to win probably for that reason, but you want to win. Your goal is to win, and you go out there to win. But that's got to be difficult, that last part of the season when you know you're out of it.
Yeah.
You're not playing for anything. Actually, it's the opposite. So it is difficult mentally. But that's just the professional thing that pushes you through that.
Yeah, you've got to play for pride. You got to play for your own individual development and team development, and for the guys that will be back. You know that Tyrese Halliburton and I think Buddy Hield will be back. A lot of people think that he would be a trade chip. I think he's blended very well into this franchise. Has a lot of personality, has a lot of swagger, shoots the ball really well. So I think you have guys on this team right now that are playing for their future, whether it's with the Indiana Pacers or whether it's somewhere else in the NBA. So they are taking a lot of pride in that. And they want to win some games down the stretch to make themselves feel good going into the offseason. I mean, I think that's the one thing that you're trying to do. At the same point, you know that you are vastly undermanned. I mean, last night, you're trying to deal with Nikola Jokic, who is the reigning MVP, probably could be the two-time MVP when all is said and done, and a loaded Denver roster that is up near the top of the Western Conference. And Jim, when I looked out on the floor of the 9 players that the Pacers had last night, only 2 of them were with the team when the season started, and those 2 didn't even factor into the rotation. So of the 9 guys that played last night, when the season started back in October, not one of those guys, whether due to signing out of the G League, signing a free agent contract, or acquiring 3 players via trade like they did with Halliburton, Hield, and Jalen Smith, not one of those guys was in the rotation when the season started in October. That's where the season is gone. And Rick Carlisle said this, I thought, very well the other night. And this is a testament to Justin Anderson, who played at Virginia. He's a talented NBA player. He was a first-round draft pick back in 2016, but he's on his third 10-day contract. And last night he started his 6th game. So that's where the Pacers are right now, having to rely on 10-day contract guys to start games. An excuse, I guess, but that's just the reality that the Pacers are living in right now.
Yeah, it's a tough place to be, as the playoff hopes long ago faded. But we'll see what happens as the rest of the season transpires. Staying healthy and actually learning to play together is huge for this team, because while there will be some change next year, the core is basically set, I would think, right?
Yeah, I think for the most part. I mean, I think this is going to be an intriguing summer to see what the Pacers do, because they have definitely charted a new direction. When they made the move to trade Domantas Sabonis to Sacramento, that basically said, look, what we were trying worked for a while, and it did a couple of years ago. They were a 45, 48 win team, getting to the playoffs as the 4th or 5 seed. They just couldn't advance to the first round. So they felt like it had been capped with where they are. We need to forge a new direction. And they have done that by basically putting the ball in the hands of Tyrese Halliburton and saying, you are now our leader. So I think all chips are on the table this summer for what the Pacers do in the draft, in free agency, as they prepare for next season.
Totally off the subject, so not really fair, but Matt Ryan coming to Indy to be the quarterback. It's not, I mean, I'm not saying that he's the second coming of Peyton Manning, but he's a solid quarterback. And as I said, when Bob Kravitz was on the other day, I'm like, everybody seems happy with it.
Yeah.
So that you can just always tell if everybody seems happy, the team seems happy, the fans seem happy, everybody seems happy. The media seems happy. It's like, okay, now they've got other pieces they need to put in place for him to be successful. mainly someone to throw the ball to. But overall, that should be a very positive thing for the Colts going forward.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And this is nothing against Carson Wentz. I mean, he was a one and done, and hopefully he has success individually in Washington. But it never seemed like everybody was totally on board as a franchise and as a fan base. And I agree with you. I've watched Ryan's career over the years in Atlanta. He led the Falcons to the Super Bowl a few years ago. The unbelievable comeback by Tom Brady.
Won.
Yeah, they should have won. Brady and the Patriots making a huge comeback. But this guy is a solid pro and somebody that I think – I'm not going to say he's going to step in and do what Matthew Stafford did in L.A. with the Rams, but I think it gives Matt Ryan a clean slate with a new team and a new set of expectations. And he's talented enough, I think, to help get the Colts to the playoffs. I think that's the first step. I think sometimes everybody wants to project Super Bowl and those types of things. What I'd like to see the Colts do is get to the playoffs. Once you get to the postseason, then anything can happen. Don't set the bar so high that you can't manage it. Let's get to the playoffs and then make some noise in the postseason.
Don't start the season 0-3.
Yeah, no question. Especially with 2 losses at home like you had last year. That really made it tough. And, you look at the way the Colts started the season and ended the season, everything in the middle wasn't too bad. But
they overcame the 0-3 start. But then they screwed up other ways.
Yeah, they were 9-3 in the middle 12 games. They were 0-5 on the bookends.
What's up next for you besides the next game tomorrow?
Boston on Friday tomorrow. Then 2 home games to end the season. Sunday is the final family night of the year, 5:00 start against Detroit. And then next Tuesday, the Pacers play Philadelphia. And then they wind up the regular season a couple of Saturdays from now in Brooklyn and in Philadelphia. And those 2 games are going to be very important for those teams. Philadelphia's in the top 4 in the East. Brooklyn's trying to get out of the play-in in the East. So when you looked at those games early in the season and you were hoping the Pacers were a playoff team, you thought, well, you wonder who Philadelphia and Brooklyn will play. How important or meaningful will those games be for those 2 teams? Well, right now they're very meaningful for the Sixers and the Nets. And then the season's over, and then it's just looking ahead to the offseason. And from a Pacers perspective, I'll have a lot of work to do as far as, working with corporate sponsors and season ticket holders and getting ready for the draft lottery and the draft. But hopefully my golf game will get started. I've got some landscaping chores here around the house. Got a son getting married in early June. I'll spend a lot of time with my grandson, who's 3.5 months old. There'll be a lot of good family things happening once this season is over.
Well, that sounds like a fun but yet busy summertime. Final 4 this weekend.
Yeah, wow.
Who you got?
Well, in the only bracket challenge that I'm in, my brother puts one on. I am second, I think, out of 20.
Wow.
And I have Duke winning it. I have 2 in the Final 4, and ironically, they could still get there. I have a Duke-Villanova championship game with Duke winning.
I would have. I loved the Villanova pick until last weekend.
Yes,
and you can't see that coming. But my God, they were on course to do it again. I'm like, golly, they're gonna do it again. They are just playing so smart. They just play smart basketball. Yeah. They don't beat themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to overcome that injury. There's no question about that. You take one of their top players off the floor. Kansas is a super talented team. So I would not be surprised to see Duke, Kansas. I think I look at that semifinal game, Duke, Carolina, and I think Duke has the advantage because I think they're the better team. And also they know what happened to them at Cameron Indoor Stadium on the final day of the regular season when Carolina went in there and won. So I think it'll be Duke. I'd like to see Villanova, but with that injury, I think it'll be Duke, Kansas. And if Duke wins, I win the bracket challenge.
Man, I hope you win it just for that. That's great.
Yeah.
That means All
You just
lunch
gotta-
is on.
Yeah,
Lunch is on Chris for everybody, baby.
And celebrate.
Hey, all right. Have a great weekend, my friend. It's always a blast. Appreciate you. The
All right,
great
thanks,
Chris
Jim.
Denari joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Whenever you're down in southern Indiana, right off of I-65, pizza, burgers, beer. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting.
I don't know if you noticed, but when you said right after this, on my end, it like glitched out. And so I don't know if it sounded weird when I took the break or played the break line, or I don't know, but that hadn't happened before.
Camp Atterbury.
What's Camp Atterbury?
Isn't it over like towards Columbus?
Mm-hmm.
I'm reading about someone sent me RBO Sprint sent me a thing about that the American Meteorological Society has received 2 reports of a fireball after a loud boom heard across several Indiana counties.
It's weird how nobody was able to catch what that actually was.
You can't hear this because I'm playing it on the computer, but it's in my ears.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what they say.
Where are we at on time here? 2 minutes. By the way, we started a few minutes late today, so I think you're going till 10:33. That's when we finish up.
What?
We're going till 10:33 today because we started a few minutes late.
All right.
And we do have clips that we didn't use yesterday. Just a
okay.
heads up if you want to use those. From one of them from the running backs coach. We have another one from Brian Walsh, and we have a Tom Allen we didn't use from a couple days ago as well. Tommy Allen.
Holy crap. This may be a meteor.
You know, there was a meteor someplace else earlier this week that I saw reported. I don't remember where it was at, though, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it would surprise me, but it wouldn't surprise me, if that makes sense.
I mean, I heard a recording of the noise, and I'm like, damn, but I heard this a week ago.
Yeah.
That's maybe, when did this happen?
Maybe my, I don't know.
That's crazy.
All right, here we go.
Coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to thehoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the golf club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Endeavor to persevere. Feast Market. And don't forget to get your join the WOW Network. You can go to mynownetwork.com or just go into your app store and join the WOW Club. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone. The places like BB's Marketplace, where you can order online for great meats, incredible meats. Cabello, Southern Stone, Feast Market and Cellar, Courtroom, all kind of more and more coming. Places that you will be going if you come to Bloomington for games, I promise you. Gosh, I haven't talked about it. Hanks. I cannot wait. It's going to be a new. I don't want to talk too much about it but it's another one. It's a new one that's coming. Tim says he keeps hearing Geronimo could bump Race out of a starting position if Race stays. Hearing from who? Because my first thing would be hearing from whom, because we're just out of the season. So how does anybody know jack about who can do what in the starting lineup when the starting lineup didn't change one freaking bit last year, except for when it had to. So no, I don't know that has anything to do with anything. I'm not saying that can't happen, because Geronimo has a more well-rounded game, but he's not there yet with it. Race was as consistent as anybody on the team last year for the entire season. Let's see. Caleb lived in Georgia and watched Matt Ryan his whole life. He's going to do it the right way. Be a great locker room leader, excellent influence for the young guys. That's good to see. Yeah, I think everybody's happy. It's rare that when some kind of change like that happens, never is everybody happy. Everybody seems pretty happy. Pretty happy. Michael says he agrees with me that the NIL will make it extremely difficult for Indiana to compete in the Big Ten in football. He says they might have to consider a MAC or something. There won't be a change in conference. It'll just be like it's always been. I think the Big Ten needs to go back to 8 conference games. Otherwise, teams like Indiana are going to struggle to make bowl games consistently. That's a big freaking difference. Those SEC schools get 4 non-conference games. That means that's 4 wins you can schedule, basically. And then you just have to win 2 conference games. You just have to beat 2 people in your division, the 2 worst teams in your division. It's what you have to be. You have to be 3rd from the bottom. That's all you got to be. And that's a bowl game every year. If you win your non-con games, if you have 4 non-con games, you win those 4, then you just have to beat the 2 worst teams in your division, and you're in a bowl. But the Big Ten is hurting itself, I think, because there's always the haves and the have-nots, so there will always be the haves and the have-nots. But I think this is going to separate the haves and the have-nots more so, without question. I don't know that it's going to separate Ohio State as much from like Penn State, Michigan, but Michigan and Penn State, that separation from the people below them is what I'm talking about. Michigan State's probably in there as well on the east side. The west side, very interesting. I'm sure Iowa will continue to do fine. Wisconsin should not have a problem. Nebraska, I would think a team like Nebraska could be helped by NIL. A team that has struggled to find its way in the Big Ten, but this could be the thing that changes that. The transfer portal and NIL could be what revives Nebraska football. Well, you got the richest man, one of the richest men in the world out there in Nebraska, baby. Daggone it, can't think of his name right now. The investor, Warren Buffett. Drop some Warren Buffett money in there. It's over. Over, I tell you. Ross says it's turkey season where he is. All I ask, turkey jerky, baby. Got to have me some turkey jerky. Derrick is absolutely a cool dude. We're very, very lucky to have him. And I was trying to figure out what this is from. He said, I bet it was Drake smoking blunts. I don't know what that was in reference to. John, do you?
This is kind of just a shot in the dark, but it could be Drake the rapper, which I don't know why that
Well,
would.
I'm assuming it was Drake the rapper, but I just didn't know what it was in reference to.
Did he have a show in Bloomington not Bloomington, but in the state recently?
Yeah, there was. I don't know. Not to my knowledge. It's no big deal. Kenneth says, "Wow, I just found the live show. Took me 20 minutes to realize I was watching a show from January. I'm sure it was just as good the second time. That's a great thing. See, that's great. That means you can go back and watch tons of interviews that we've done in the past. You either miss them or forget them. It's a great thing about having them there.
A big shout out, by the way, to all of our new subscribers. We have had such an uptick in people subscribing and watching the show and clips in general, and that is an absolutely amazing thing, and it helps us. It helps the show grow. It helps more people find us. And we are very grateful to have every single one of you watching, especially on YouTube. If you watch on Facebook, that's great. But if you just watch us on YouTube, that's where that's what really helps us. We don't really
absolutely.
Obviously, we have Facebook, but if you want to make that transition over to YouTube and you haven't done so yet, we highly encourage that from you. So just wanted to say that.
Good idea. And give me a follow on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB. Appreciate that as well. But yeah, that's why every day I say at the end of the show, I'm serious. I thank the audience because without them, there's no reason for us to be here. They are the most important. El numero uno, baby. Let's see. Let me get back to here. Well, no, I'm too far down. Ross says, is he the only one that thinks Blake Wesley will be a better pro than Jaden Ivey? You know, I saw Blake Wesley listed on that draft board that I was looking at yesterday, and I can't remember where he was. Was he above or below Ivy? I cannot recall. But man, yeah, that's the thing. The development, you just never know how much someone is going to develop, even after college. And sometimes getting to the pros is what they need to get to that next step. I am not disagreeing with you. Blake Wesley has turned into a really good one that Indiana could have certainly used. Kenneth asked, has anyone heard about the Big 12 expanding and them taking a Big 10 team, maybe Nebraska? Man, Nebraska is not leaving the Big 10 for the Big 12 because the Big 12 cannot pay what the Big 10 pays. It's all about the money, folks. Show me the money. The Big 10 does that. They show you the money to the tune of about $50 million a year. No other conference does that. That's just through their TV package. So I do not see Nebraska, especially like I said, I wish I'd have saw this a minute ago. I think NIL helps Nebraska. Steve thinks that Jaden Ivey's overrated. Copeland walk-off home run in the ninth lifts IU to win. Well, when was that? They didn't play yesterday. Man, you crack me. You keep me off guard with some of those comments, Tim. What's up with Garcia? Robert asked. What's Garcia is he talking about? Probably referencing the fire at Gamebridge. Oh, that wasn't at Gamebridge though. That was out west. When Chris Denari was on a minute ago, we were talking about their game being postponed because a speaker caught fire. But that was not at Gamebridge. That was wherever they were out west. I forget who they were playing.
I think he's making a joke saying there's just a fire in Gamebridge with the Pacers franchise. I think he's trying to say the franchise is a mess right now.
Well,
that's my take.
That's I thought it was the speakers catching fire, and now the blunt thing makes sense. Kenneth says, got a nice scouting report on Jalen Hood-Schifino. Well, man, that scouting report has been in for months, baby. Yeah, he is what he is, a 5-star player, a top player in the country, a 6'5" point guard that can shoot, that can play the 1 or the 2. And Ross says, hit the like button. Absolutely. Subscribe and like. Appreciate you, Ross. Caleb says he has some Georgia high school postseason highlights for both Ja'Kai Newton and Caleb Banks posted on his channel for anyone interested. Awesome. Feel free to send those along. We'll post them as well, Caleb. But there you go. If you want to see those. Drake is a huge Toronto rat. There we go. That's where the fire was. It was in Toronto. Now it's all coming together. Yeah, Drake. I got so tired of them flipping to Drake during those games. I'm like, get out of here with that crap. Good call, Brad. No. GG's not. Robert says he's talking about Garcia playing Market and he went to North Carolina.
That was back during the transfer portal discussion. I saw that comment earlier too. Are you deep in the comments right now from earlier, or was that? Oh no, that was a couple of minutes ago. Excuse me.
Yep. Kenneth says the JHA's scouting report was from me. Oh, that's what he was talking about when he was reading the show or watching the January show. Now I'm up to you. Man, it's just.
That must have been when you were down in Montverde.
It is. That's what he's talking about. But it's hard to keep these comments in order when you're going from subject to subject and they're just a little bit behind. But yeah. That was the thing about when I got to go down, when I was down there watching him, just watching his court vision. That's the thing. It stood out to me then. It stands out to me now. And he doesn't panic. He's used to playing in pressure situations. Those games they play, man, they play in high-end talent all the time. They don't play. They're not, no offense, but they're not playing against Shenandoah. They're not playing against a 2A team from out in the country. They're playing against teams that have starters that are all going to Division I, as they are. That's the kind of stuff that makes Jalen Hood-Schifino so valuable. His talent, obviously, but it's not just talent. Anybody can have talent, but the ability to use it. And he does so without there's no. He's not going to be a guy that's at the free throw line having problems. He's not going to be a guy that has problems shooting. I don't think CJ Gunn's going to have problems shooting, but that's got to transfer to the college game, so we got to wait for that to happen. But I say that just because
1 minute.
He's a guy that he's got the cojones. And sometimes in sports, cojones mean more than talent. If you're not being afraid to fail. That does a lot. And I see that's what I see that in CJ. So we got to wrap it up. John, who's going to rebound? I can't ask for that. Did I mention Providence winning their first ever state basketball? I don't know that I mentioned that, but I did text Lance. Daggone it. I'm forgetting everybody's names today. Former player for IU. Lance
Ware, or is it somebody else?
Somebody else. Anyway, he's an assistant coach on there. I texted him, congratulated him, but congratulations to them.
Let's go.
And Robert's pointing that out. All right, I'm getting told to get off here. So, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Most importantly, thanks to Chris Denari, thanks to DJ, and to John. Most importantly, thank you guys. Without you all, like I said, no reason for us to be here. We're back tomorrow to do it. Alec Lassie will join us. We're going to get you caught up on recruiting. So, Lance Stemler, thank you. Got that one in quick. Thank you. Appreciate that. I texted Lance Stemler. But talking some recruiting tomorrow, amongst other things. But until then, go out and have yourselves a great day. I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.